our government has to play a role in promoting a certain type of ideology or try to cultivate a sense of the ability to tell right from wrong among our children. If you think the government have to do that, then the government cannot be as neutral as possible. But a lot of liberal thinkers ask the government to be neutral, isn't it? And so for you, I mean, in thinking that the government has to play an active role in democracy, you don't subscribe to the idea or the doctrine of liberal neutrality.
I don't know, but generally, I don't think that I'm not for philosopher kings. I think this is an awful idea.
Sure.
The government at the highest level of government should be informed by values, by moral vision,
right,
but not created. There are people who articulate moral visions better than politicians. And that's good because they talk to all of us. They try to express, to make explicit at least the best side of what all of us believe.
Right.
And articulate it in such a way which gives it a spine, which makes it easier to protect and promote those the visions of moral life. And the government should get it, just we all do. They're not in space. Their role is to find ways to help. And at the lower level of government, it requires a lot of expertise in technology, in economics, psychology, and other areas, depending on what we are talking about. And the higher level of government is just to give the nudge, the push in the right direction and oversee the whole picture. Okay, but none of this speaks for neutrality. I don't know. Neutrality would suggest arbitrary decision. Okay, we can do this, we can do this. One could be good, one could be bad. Maybe it's neither good nor bad, but we might know, but we are not allowed to act on that. Instead, let's toss a coin. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. So there are two things which are important, right? One is that you are not controlling people's life, you are creating the condition for them. Second thing which is important is that people's own view about what life to pursue will be largely determined by luck and by circumstance, by individual propensity, whether you're musical or whether you're good with your hands, whether you have certain physical talents and so on. But they will also be, to a considerable degree, shaped by cultural, religious ideologies. And those are never perfect. Anyone which has gone, which has been historically viable will be good in many ways and will be bad in many ways. So you cannot say this ideology or this religion has this defect or that defect, therefore we will ban it. It doesn't matter. I mean, to my mind, religions, ideologies, culture don't matter. What matters is people. But the people are moved in certain background beliefs, and the whole understanding of themselves and of the world derives to a degree from those background beliefs. So you have to respect this. You cannot destroy people's life by saying, oh, but the background beliefs are flawed, they are not perfect. So again, you have to try to move against the flaws while respecting the rest. And usually there are people within that religion or culture group who will help you. If it's not yours, then there will be people there who will help you, who are moving in that direction under their own steam, like women in different religions which discriminate against women are moving themselves to change from inside. I don't talk about women who want to destroy the religion. I'm talking about women who want to remain within the religion but find interpretations and ways of understanding the traditions and developing the tradition which will be non-discriminatory, and it's best to work with them rather than against them. So there is a good deal of fine-tuning, if you like, that is required, which puts up with a lot of bad things simply because the results of fighting them will be worse than nudging them slowly towards a more appropriate situation.
I see. So you don't actually subscribe to the doctrine of liberal neutrality, and what you want is a more open society with government trying best to provide a good condition for people to make choices. So is that the reason why you still consider yourself as a liberal, or rather than communitarian? Or do you think you are
I try not to consider myself anything. In the books that you mentioned, The Morality of Freedom, I started, I think, if I haven't looked at it again, but I believe that in the preface to the book I say that there is a whole bunch of liberal theories, I say, and that what is mostly common to all people, to all people who in the theory, who regard themselves theoretically as liberal, is what they read and what they don't read. Liberals tend to read articles, books written in the liberal tradition. They tend to be unfamiliar by the writings in fascism. They have some idea of fascism because they know why they are against it, but they are not, they are not interacting with fascist literature in detail, and so on and so forth. So what defines liberalism to me is it's a community of readers at the theoretical level rather than a doctrine.
I see.
Of course, it's different at the political level. Liberalism is just a label for a bunch of policies.
I see.
Which is without the theory. And this kind of helps in mapping the political situation in this country or that. I'm not interested in that, of course, at all here. I'm not saying that I don't have views on those policies, but I hope that they don't align exactly with any particular group. And the theory, it's very important to stop worrying whether you are a good party member, whether you are a good liberal or not a good liberal, and worry more about whether you make sense or don't make sense. And I try not to protest when people call me liberal or say you are not liberal. Don't mind either way. I wish them to talk about the suggestions that I make and show why they make sense or not make sense.
Right. So I'm curious if you are still comfortable with the word perfectionist. Do you still consider yourself to be a perfectionist liberal?
I don't. I think I made a mistake. I used it, so I am to blame. But of course, as you know, I borrowed it. And I was young. And I didn't realize how much more you borrow than a word, or more than an idea, which the word indicates. You borrow, you subscribe to an agenda, to a way of thinking of the problem. And so I shouldn't have used it, because I don't think there is any merit to the agenda out of which this comes.
Right, I see. So you are actually for a more open society.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the substance of the way you substantively describe my views.
Right. But you still think, well, let's say we can just discard the label of perfectionism. you still think autonomy, personal autonomy, is very important, isn't it?
Yeah.
But of course, autonomy cannot be equated with perfectionism, of course.
I think of autonomy as, you know, lots of theories avoid the term altogether.
That's right.
And in some ways I sympathize with them. I think it's a big mess. I think of autonomy as a condition of the options which are available to us. Let's talk about professions. So ever since industrialization in the early days of capitalism, the labor market has completely changed, and people started moving around the country to find work where it is available. And it's complicated, related to the training and so on, but take the simple feature, just that people move around to find work. They used not to. They used to find work as given. It was dictated by what their parents did. And then there were rules about, you know, the elder child inherits this, the younger child does this, and if I'm talking about conditions in Europe, there's nothing better to do, you go and become a clergyman, and so on. And this allows lots of people to have rewarding and fulfilling life. The option of moving around and choosing occupation didn't exist. With post-industrial and post-industrial societies, it does exist. In fact, the opposite doesn't exist. The idea that you just inherit the job of your father is not feasible. Of course, you have certain advantages in remaining. You know, if your father is an electrician, you might have some advantages in becoming an electrician. If he's a lawyer, you have some advantages. But by and large, that doesn't exist. Moreover, the ethos of the time suggests that you shouldn't do that. You should think about what is right for you, what you really want, and so on. There's a lot of bullshit in that ethos, but there is some truth in it as well. So the option of having a job, and a satisfying and rewarding job, includes the way you came to have it. The option of having a friend with happy friendship, relationship between you, includes the fact that you chose that friend. There were other kids around, we are talking about children, and you became friends with one and not with another. It was your choice. And that gives certain meaning, affects the content of the relationship, the way we behave in the relationship. It allows us to move away from the relationship and the friendship and so on, in ways which, when the social conditions were different, the options were different, and the meaning of friendship was different. So autonomy is not a separate element. It's a condition which affects the content of, not all, we don't choose our parents, but affects lots of the options which are available to us. They have the content, they are as good as they can be if they are approached in the right way. If there's something in us which says, that is worth trying, or this is for me, or something of that kind. And the shape of the option is then modulated to reflect that. Okay, so that's what I regard as autonomy. Autonomy is a condition of a particular culture.
Right, but there must be some preconditions before that. I guess that would be forms of good life or forms of life worth pursuing are many, plural. So I think ultimately, your thought relies on the doctrine of value pluralism. And that doctrine was first formulated by Isaiah Berlin and maybe popularized by John Gray. Do you think that's the very basis of your either legal or political thought?
I don't know what the basis is. Maybe it isn't the basis. But it's certainly very important fact of life. I mean, the fact, it's just fact. The fact is that there are lots of things which are worth doing, which one person cannot do together, cannot do all of them. And I give examples from sports, where some sporting activities require developing some muscle, other sporting activities require repressing those muscles, developing different sort of muscles and physical skills. So you cannot succeed in both sports at the same time. But both of them are good. But no single individual can be good in all of them. And kind of the history of culture, there is the contrast between the active life, fighter or the politician or something, and the contemplative life, the scholar and so on. A lot of it is myth, but there is still something which is true. There are people whose job, I have close friends, lawyers, whose job required them to take decisions. The Prime Minister calls you, asks you a question, you have the duration of the telephone call to make your mind up and give a decision which has consequences for the whole country. I couldn't do it. I want, can you give me 6 months? I will think about it, I will read about it, and so on. So there are people who have different inclination, different temperament, and different training, and some are successful in one way, others are successful in another way. And they're both good. Without both, we will have an impoverished culture rather than the culture we have. But, as we all know, we tend to be dismissive of the other lot. The business people who have to take quick business decisions don't like all those contemplation and endless argument, porn and so on. And the other way around. And the other way around, the academics tend to look down at the businessmen and say, ugh, they are not serious. There are those competitions and negative attitudes, even intolerant attitudes, not necessarily killing them, but directing money this way or another and so on, which are regrettable. We should recognize that there are more good ways than we can exemplify in our life, and we should respect them. There are two ways of correct ways of relating to valuable things. One is engaging in it, becoming a mountain climber, becoming a marathon runner, becoming an art lover and painting or just looking at painting or whatever. The other way is respecting them. You don't engage. I respect skiers. I've never skied. I don't want to ski. I would resist any attempt to put me on skis. But I have great respect for people who do ski. I think this is a wonderful activity. And so on. It's all around us. We should respect lots of things which we don't want to engage with. And people tend to focus what they respect on what they actually like, or if they don't actively engage, would like to engage with. And that's a basic narrowness of our attitude.
Right, and this comes to my last question, or out of curiosity, I'd like to ask you, if there are so many good forms of life, why not just try to impose a particular one on someone else? Like, say, the government can choose on behalf of the people and impose that on the people. It's good already, isn't it?
It's so impossible that I can't imagine, I can't think of a hypothetical. Oh, well, you say, well, suppose it were possible, would it be good? I don't know how to think about this. I think it doesn't have any content. So among political philosophers, there is now among some a growing trend to reject the demand for what we call technically ideal theory, namely the views that in order to understand how we should guide ourselves in our life, we should know what would be a perfect life or perfect society. And those who object to it for a variety of reasons, quite a number of them good. To my mind, it doesn't have any content. There is no...
I see.
There is nothing there. The only thing we can think about is what we care about and how we can improve gradually the situation we are in.
The situation, okay.
And we don't need any vision of utopias in order to be able to do that.
I see. And that wrap up our conversation nicely. And I think it's enough for today. And thank you very much for coming once again. And I think we understand quite a lot about your theory now. Okay, thank you. And this is the end of our interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Raz.